set the stage perfectly from the fights that we're going to see off the drop monster to the uncontested players that have a little bit more flexibility in their game plan. But overall, I said there's at least 5-6 teams right out of the gates that have to face a contested fight.
Yeah, and this is going to go by really quickly. 5 games of Fortnite. We got a sample of that last week. It was over before we even knew it. And here comes the battle bus. Let's jump on.
Fortnite ready start. Must not end the game. Must mid.
All right, Jacob. Group 2 is here. Game 1's kicking off, and we are off to the races for North America. This is by far the group that I was definitely looking forward to, obviously because of the big NA superstars, but you also have Phaser, King, and PHN showing up, looking to put up some numbers here and get some practice for globals.
Yeah, and you can already see we're at this drop spot from the northwestern edge all the way to the southeastern. So it's going to be King, Phaser in a possible contested fight. I said possible because that area does claim a lot of space, especially for trios. King, Phaser, PHN, they're going to get the actual drop spot. Unlum will flare. And then on the outside, Jake, Dogo, and their trio, they're just going to get the outskirts. There is loot out there, Monster, but it's essentially scraps, especially when you have all those northern teams that are uncontested as well. They got to think quick, they got to think on their toes because they are definitely on the clock to start game 1.
Yeah, what would be the biggest surprise would be if they can pull a victory through on NA to kind of kick off the catalyst for their, presence.
Good start, Fortnite. Good start.
High ground, see this strategy time and time again. Everyone's going to be also playing that nice triangular format that you kind of talked about, right? Just kind of spread out, taking full control of the Supernova Academy. Looking for tags early on is going to be the name of the game regardless here. And this drop's one of the better ones, right? There's not much to worry about when it comes down to finding that beast loadout to work with. On the other side, get a little highlight from Twist. Not bad at all.
That's a great shot across the map. Doesn't look like his teammates are there to get the revive either. Should be able to clean that one up. Listen, Hayes status. This is from Shogun Solitude, so they're already wasting no time rotating towards the north. Rightfully so. That's one of those POIs, Monster, whether it's contested or not, you do not want to get stuck there. There's different divots and mountains that you have to get across when the zone does pull over. And then on top of that, since they were contested in this game, they got to start to be on the hunt for a surge, and that's why they saw that first team and positioned themselves to try to take this fight. But high ground versus low, you kind of know how that one plays out.
Yeah, but this is still a cool fight. We saw Hayes, Listen, and Status actually last season play very well when it came down to early game fights in finals and whatnot. So I'm actually very curious to see if they have continued to kind of sharpen their team. I do believe they have a new third on this squad, but either way, a very familiar team, if you will, as far as getting reps in these high quality lobbies.
Yeah, when I was kind of going on social media, talking to the community, keeping my ear to the ground, I was like, Power's going to qualify at a Group 1. Listen, say, you know what, we're next. He's kind of pre-calling his shot, and this is really a deciding fight. Sets the tone, the pace of the entire tournament, win or lose. Has been looking like he's getting aggressive. On to Listen, though, dropping down layer by layer. They did have the Superman Sprite trying to break through the builds. Double edits on to Listen, but he's able to escape very, very quickly. Reposition so he doesn't take too much damage here. And this is where both teams now get put in this position as they look at their watch. Time is passing by. They're using resources. Their health is getting whittled down. How long do you stay in this position?
Quick highlight here from Batman Joe, though. While things are simmering down, take a look at the wall takes and the cleanup here. Multiple eliminations, full team wipes, and they are picking up big loot and damage in the early game. Disengage happening here for Menace Visuals and Braids. Things went from uncontested to a little scrappy in a matter of moments, but seems like they're playing for potentially the island here.
Yeah, it's something that they kind of love to do. You know, they were talking about before the show started, Kelly, Vivid, Zeke, you know, the eval, they were able to win a game, which kind of wins you some prize money. Very, very similar to this format. A huge part of their game plan was consistently going for this island. It was a little different. They sometimes had to run into Acorn, Aegis, and Poyo, but without them in the lobby, I don't think there's too many teams that are going to be brave enough to go up there. If they are, how much are they willing to test themselves in a fight? I do know that is going to be the Demon's Domain team, if anybody contests. I saw the medallion getting passed around a little bit like a hot potato, so that way they can make sure to keep their shields up.
Yeah, definitely a key pickup here, playing for these medallions. Ooh, nice misformed cloak there as well to really round out this loot here. That's a key item for endgame. We've already seen the strengths of it as these upper tier lobbies start to take shape. And again, this one absolutely a cut above the rest of, you know, comparatively to Group 1, that is. So I am definitely expecting some serious gameplay come the end here, possibly even some upsets come the end of it. Bolts, Rapid, and Kanata gonna have to be that team that fights against the upset, right? We already know Kanata's got a lot riding on the line here for this grand finals appearance.
And we're kind of breaking down some of the teams, you know, his perfect season, some of the most experienced, 48 finals appearances. But you saw that quick stat, 5 VRs in lobbies. And that just makes them some of the most experienced teams. And we kind of talk about when teams are forming, you know, that hot streak, the honeymoon phase. Right now, they are on their hot streak at the perfect moment. Group stages into finals next week. But on the other side, Jerry, Degen, they're getting dropped down low, and they're in a 3v2, and it gets even worse as Creon gets down. It does get traded out. Jerry needs to be able to get this elimination, and he does it. He gets cut short. The full trio gets knocked and sent back to the lobby, but Tony, Noisy, and Creon, they're able to win that fight. That's their 4th overall elimination of the game, and you got to imagine when it comes to Surge, they got to be preparing very well for that.
Yeah, and this is another team that is extremely familiar with the high-tier lobbies. So that's no pushover squad that you're going to find there at the edge of the map, too. You would think that they'd already be in some better key positioning come center, but nope, they have big things to worry about if you're playing on the outskirts. Meanwhile, Noah W plays Chaos Clicks. We saw a lot of them, you know, throughout the years now, continuing to stick with one another as a trio as well. Like to kind of see this team kind of take shape, take form here. Right now, Kappa Kappa Factory. So many names off in the distance to choose from here.
Yeah, luckily for them, though, they haven't had to rotate too far. Uncontested outposts. So they only rotate a little bit towards the north, a little bit towards the east, where they get this position and set up, let the zone, let everything naturally come to them. Nerface, Zemo, and you guys know him. He's been around quite a long time. Cease kind of rounding out this roster, landing that kind of split drop above the mountains, left of Demon's Domain, south of Foxy Floodgates. A lot of the time they do get it uncontested, and because of that elevation, they're able to plan it and set up accordingly. And with the zone pushing all the teams all from the west side of the map to the eastern side of the map, they've set themselves up on this mountain so they can just kind of look at all those teams rotating in, get their surge, and kind of with that elevation, figure out where they need to go next.
See what's gonna happen here. Joji just looking for a pixel to find those tags, but that team's long gone, moving pretty quickly. Bryce, Skittles, and Dash though in a fight. This is a team that can absolutely take a win today. Clearly one of the more qualified trios as far as tenure goes, but let's give it a little second here. Bryce possibly looking for the chop down, still waiting for the comm, seems like, from his team. No W plays, and crew have now collected back to that Spire Mountain there. Look at all the commitment of resources here. This is quite the visual taking place here for just two trios.
Let's try to see whatever's left by. I can only imagine, because we previously saw Chaos and Noah kind of sitting in that box going for Surge. Maybe they saw Clixie by himself, thought it was a solo, and that's an opportunity to pounce, take advantage. Zone continuously forcing people over towards the eastern side from the west, and they're just kind of using this as an opportunity, because remember, they were contested at Foxy. They probably don't necessarily have all the loot, resources, and loadout that they want, so they move on over to Outpost to try to get whatever scraps are going to be left by. We're back on over to Utopia. The same two teams positioned here. They're not able to spread out as much as you would if you were solo, but you got to imagine when it comes to the Surge, they got to be preparing pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, this is a team that, at least for what we've seen, should be ahead, right? Well and far away. Yeah. They've already got a team wipe under their belt, so somewhat situated. Plenty of match cap metal and a metal base to go with it, so seems like things are going relatively well for them.
There you go. Finally seeing a little bit of the edge of the zone just over towards Demon's Domain. So you see it is kind of pulling and forcing a lot of these teams towards the eastern edge. I expect that trend to continue maybe in the next 2 zones, maybe even 3. But once we get towards halfway, I think more and more of the zone will kind of reveal itself where it does actually want to go. And you're seeing kind of the edge. Not too many teams are continuing to rotate towards this side. So for Muskie, Kingston, and Max, they got to start thinking, hey, if we're down Surge, we go this way. If we're above Surge, we got to go this way. Start permeating multiple strategies, a plan A and a plan B if things do go wrong, because you don't want to be one of those teams, Monster, that is below the Storm Surge threshold with no team near you to get that damage.
Yeah, and look at this. The zone's going to be relatively close, so it's not like they have to move a lot. Not sure if this is going to work for or against them, right? Typically, you want at least some type of motion, some type of activity in your area. Nerface, Zemo, and C seem to be pretty content with their damage. They're off to the races, not looking to trade with any of these teams inside the Demon's Domain. They're trying to now place themselves in a better spot for mid-game. Little knock happening here on the rotate, though, for Akarun.
Luckily for them, Jake is still nearby as well. This was the team that was kind of just north of Lone Wolf Lair, FaZe, King, and PH in. They positioned themselves, kind of stealing away most of that loot. Now we're kind of seeing what they were able to do with some of those scraps. Kind of make it pretty far into this game so far. 4th zone, but it does continue to pull drastically towards the south. You see the lean all the way towards the east. So for a lot of these teams, you see might not be the most healthy. Their job is not done just yet. They have plentiful of shields, but you can see they're lacking the HP, so they got to be on the move because they cannot take too many ticks of that zone.
I don't think we've seen an Outpost Enclave end zone or anything like that, so it'd be pretty interesting depending on how far these zones start to pull now. Oh, this is a team really scrappy here for the rotate. Let's jump in with Creo. See how things are going for Creon, Noisy, and Tony here. After their fight, they've actually picked up more eliminations on the rotate into the kind of edge of zone here, well above the damage threshold, so that's going to be absolutely reassuring for this team here. Everything else now is really just a cherry on top. They've kind of done what they've needed to, I think, for this lobby here.
Yeah, that's kind of a blessing right there with that bird's eye view, the elevation. You said it yourself, massive amount of Storm Surge. They're not in a rush to move, but we talked about this team here below the damage threshold, quite a possibility. They end up in a tough spot. We saw that they had no HP heals. All they had was shields, and that might have been it. Now one of them stuck by himself. They were able to get a trade onto one with the double res, which means he's going to get back up to tip-top shape in no time. And another team even moving in and threatening down this presence. They're just trying to take the spoils of what they got off of that elimination. They're not too far off away from the zone, so they could build, they could tarp their way in, go back, replenish some of those materials, and kind of set themselves up. They could peek through the cones and try to get as much information as possible because they know this is going to be the stack side of the map towards the north.
Yeah, definitely is the much more congested side right now, starting to take form here. There are about 3 teams plus 1 sitting on top of each other here. Still looking. See, try to gather any information there. Not a Bolton Rapid though. Chilling right now. Looking to make the move here. Dash is going to start coming out. Full set of misformed charges here on the trio as well. None for Bolts though. Look at the slight min-maxing here, just trying to keep themselves capped off on material while they rotate, just taking their time, full control of the lobby right now. Ooh, big fight right now for the Brazilians. Though here on the left, Phaser, King, and PH Zin come across another trio. They're still standing, they're holding their own pretty well here. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, though, don't even want to stop to take a look at this. They're just minding their own business.
Yeah, they know eventually whoever wins this fight is going to have to rotate in the direction. You see it in the mini-map already where they position themselves just at the edge of zone. One elimination so far. That one's going to be on to King. Probably in this fight right here was Axe and Slepsy kind of separated from their trio. And this is where King, Phaser, PH Sin, even though they might not have an NA FNCS championship monster, they do have multiple FNCS championships. They have experience. They know when to kind of not necessarily give up, but not get too greedy for more and more and more eliminations, especially since they themselves are not in the zone just yet.
This takes me back to the invitationals where, you know, Brazil showed up. 2 out of top 10 spots going to them. It was quite the showing, really just putting respect on their region's top tiers. And PH Zin was a part of that storyline, so I'm all for it. I think they are the X factor here for the globals, and anything can happen with them in the lobby.
Now you're seeing more and more of those tricks coming out from underneath players' sleeves. Didn't really get too many appearances of it. I think just kind of lack of tournaments, players streaming them, only scrims. They don't want to share too many of their strategies, but now it's all coming out. I seen one of them in the eval finals where, I don't know if it was Higgs, Clicks, Yamzo, they were able to use that Cape monster and take their down teammate into a safe location. So that's multiple strategies already out early, and honestly, in some cases, it's no use wasting them because you have to make it to the grand finals if you're looking to save it. And sometimes you need some of those tricks in order to make it happen, especially with another far pull towards the south.
Yeah, that's right. Everything's gonna have to come out the bag here. Clicks, Higgs, and Hamzo make that quick rotate, though. Very nicely done. For others, not so much of a same story here. Zesto, Cairo, and Willers kind of caught up in the Storm Surge right now. They're kind of flirting with the line though, so they could battle their way out of this. A lot of teams have to move here and now. There's really not much more time to waste. Got a lot of heals to work with as well. It's like right space, wrong time, it feels like right now for them.
Yeah, it's almost like worst case scenario. Max pull and active surge. Medmiss Smoke's going down. Willers has kind of positioned themselves a little bit up front, but he doesn't have an angle. Everybody's fully shielded up, but he's able to get another elimination. There's some damage, but because they started a fight already in progress, it wasn't enough to get him above the damage threshold. Still 21 below, and they're quickly running out of heals. 3 more ticks is all Zusto can even take.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not firing right now. We should be non-stop trying to light up those builds here. You just don't have time to waste. Caught in the zone now. It is not looking good at all. One teammate's already down. Misform comes out. How much time can he buy? You know, I asked that question last week. Can the Misform cloak save you from a surge tag? The answer is yes. It looks like he was able to mitigate just one there. But again, there's no time on the clock for him to find the damage, and falling with just 11 damage shy away from keeping yourself safe is definitely unfortunate.
Man, that's where you're seeing even statics going down in the distance. You know, you could have all the heals in your loadout, but if it's all shields, you're not able to get some of the HP back, it kind of puts you in a tough spot. 436 above the damage threshold for Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo, though. Even throughout all their rotations from Supernova Academy, they make sure to keep Storm Surge as a part of their focal game plan. Position above one team, next to a few more, in the center zone as well. For a team like them and everyone around, if they really do not have to do too much, just not get too antsy, don't make any bad peaks.
Also, really hot start right now. was hoping to see a little bit more of the outpost caught in the zone here, but Fortnite says, not today, monster. They're pulling themselves straight north here. So off we go. This is the team that's the furthest back right now. 10 seconds before things start to collide here. So to get going, but look at all that natural terrain to work with. So diminished visuals and Braids content to take their time here. We'll see if they end up getting lobby focused.
Could potentially have options with the island back there. They are moving in that direction. Rifts, island, probably don't want either. Just trying to find an open spot. Cash, Void, Storm Surge is active. Void goes down before the active Storm Surge takes him down altogether. So at least it gives him an opportunity, but I might have spoke too soon. He gets cleaned up, and Cash goes down as well. Shari's, Davies, and QK, the winners, I believe, of Demon's Domain, able to get that elimination. And this is why you're seeing them pretty strong. They're able to pass that medallion around and keep themselves up when it comes to at least 50 shield, but still a far rotation in. Getting tagged on the way there. No misform in their inventory, so they're forced to use a lot of these dash sprites to make their way around the map.
Yeah, you watch the handoff of the tokens there again. Just look at that HP jump up. And it just really showing you the strength of the loadout, the strength of Demon's Domain. I mean, they have 6 eliminations as well, so a very, very telling game for them. Panada, Bolts, and Rapid, completely different story up here as the skies are bright and clear. No contention up top here. I don't really even see too many teams poising to put up a fight at all. Nice zone pull as well. Look at how fast they are to react there. No time wasted. Even using mobility to make sure they get that nice secure high ground here. What a position to be in. And this is like an unstoppable base right here. They're going to be well positioned for an end game, possibly even the first game win.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Rapid with that exotic pistol. He's going to shockwave anybody that tried to test him for hype. But below the damage threshold, Dash, Skittles, Bryce, quick to react. They get 18 above. Now they're fighting 5 below. The teeter-totter, the roller coaster of emotions that they must be going through as he continues to land shots. This Magma in the distance, Scare peaks as well. Everybody here suffering for the lack of damage. As Skittles without builds, 3 HP, 143 above the damage threshold though. But what did it cost? It cost him everything. But by himself, Monster, he's able to make the play, get the eliminations. You see the 6 different medkits in his inventory. The only thing he lacks right now is mobility.
You saw how comfortable he was with the Siphon tick in there. Plenty of time to work with here. HP already up. He's hit that A rank, so he's not going to have any problems making his way through, but he is still a solo here and now. Remember, consistency still matters today overall. Yamzo, Higgs, and Clicks on the move right now. Loadout looking a little light for wear, but not too bad as things are starting to come together here in the end game. 3 eliminations already for Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo. I was wondering when we'd get that nice little update, and they're going to be the team poised to possibly look at height, give Kanata a problem here, but Kanata's trio knows better. They know how to hold this down. They should be looking to focus these trios soon.
Kind of watching. You see Kanata and Rapid continuously looking over towards their right. They know second height is there. They know the threat that they possess at any possible given moment. But with the zone pulling further and further away, almost max pull from where they're at, I'm not sure they're going to be able to hold on to hype for here. Somebody on their trio might have to make that sacrifice, jump forward, and try to go for reconnection. But with Yamzo still there, QK's team still there, everybody staggering themselves back, it's a risk that they're not willing to take just yet. Visual sprays and diminish down below, though, 255 above the damage threshold. Even with more rotation to go, they're making sure to stay slow and steady with one foot in front of the next.
Yeah, you saw they were thinking about connecting their way down there, like, nah, it's way too far. We're just gonna have to miss cloak across here. And Rapids, that's it. He's out of mobility now, so it's all or nothing here as they try to stick to the high ground. Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo starting to kind of gas out here as well when it comes down to hard materials. Clicks down to the last bit. Yamzo looks to take over. Clicks still looking for an opportunity to attack high ground here. The misformed trading hands here. Okay, targeting the high ground. There it is. Breaks their builds out. Gonna cost them something. Let's see.
We see the exotic with the shockwave. Rapid went down. He landed a little bit of damage on the Clicks and bounced him away. And that's why you're here. The first and last shot of that pistol has that shockwave effect, a full shockwave effect. So got to be very, very careful. And I think Clicks, Yamzo, and Higgs, that's a real giveaway. They're no longer contesting for the high ground. They're looking to dominate down below, and that's where they got in the front side of the zone.
Nada doing an excellent job finding Monty there from the high ground. That's the full finish. just to keep them sharp and in the game. And you know what? Surprisingly, they actually have material to work with. Meanwhile, Clicks on the bottom camera just in a world of trouble, has to misform out after finding an elimination and then a knockdown body right afterwards. And look at the reads here, manages to find himself back to Iamzo, who is leading the rotates here. Clicks, though, is online right now.
Yep, he also has that misform, so he can easily pop through and try to get to the front. Meet Iamzo on the other side. You see he already took that front step, leading the pack. King, Phaser, PHN, they're dominating in the Slayer, pushing everybody off. Even if they didn't get the eliminations, they're trying to make it clear for themselves. Up over, they're trying to meet everybody there on the other side, and you're seeing the misform come out for so many different players. They're trying to nullify any damage from that storm as they make their way around.
This is exciting. We get to see King in action here on NA, where there is no disadvantage and they seem to be fully locked in. A lot of material to work with as well as they're playing the mid ground. Here comes Iamzo and Clicks kind of jumping up, and you know, surprisingly that layer is so contested. Everyone looking to really fight for this win here, this victor royale to kind of end the day early. Medmist going to come out here. That's going to be a big play for PHN and King there as they play the zone now. Kanata, Rapid don't seem to know what's happening behind them. Bolt is looking back though after Medmist. Okay, so he's got visuals. He sees what's going on. They have their kind of attention on high here.
Kevin Rapid sees him. He immediately starts firing toward the backside of the zone. They all have to go one by one, but it's a distraction. Iamzo makes his way up a little bit of those layers. Blitz meets him there as well. Everybody converging. They don't want to be on that ultimate low ground. It's so chaotic. It's so dangerous down below. Clicks Iamzo. They found a solo by themselves. He's able to escape, but he's into the backside of the zone. That one gets stolen away. Bolt gets that elimination, but there's still somebody left alive. Madly Climb, but it's only for so long. The Brazil Kings are able to dominate yet another player, but they lose one along the way.
That's right. Clicks also find elimination. He goes up now, and he actually builds. He reconnects the high ground. And a huge tag there, but Clicks is left by himself. It's 1 against 3 here, and he is holding his own. No one's got shield here on Kanata's trio. They actually are forced to go down. Other teams start to look in. What can Clicks do? He has one more med miss here. Bolt is the only healthy player. Scratch that, though. Misform on down here. Straight into the build. That was a huge mistake, though, as they were ready. Kanata cleans one up on the low ground now as well. It's up to Braids here to clutch one out as Aminish is playing the zone here, trying to get the heal off.
This might be a 1v2 situation if both of them still alive. Aminish using that misform to try to negate some of the damage, hiding while Braids goes in for the destruction, but Kanata has a misform of his own, trying to create some separation. He has the heals, but he doesn't have a shot to use them. Visuals, Braids, and Aminish continue their hot streak from Major 2 to advance to the Major 3 Grand Finals.
We knew they could do it, but to do it like that, when there were so many notable trios in the game, this is why they are here to demand their respect and go straight to finals while they're at it. What an exciting game number 1. I mean, that was worthy of a finale finish, but we're just getting started here.
Yeah, that was big, because remember, Visuals, Aminish, and Braids contested by Skittles, Dash, and Bryce right out of the gate. They split 2 separate ways. They didn't even get all of their first move, but it's moments like this, it's plays like this. Braids goes in, uses the misform, finds key eliminations to separate them, and eventually take the game. Kanata, he was on a run, trying to hide, trying to pop those med kits, but it wasn't enough. Our first team today advancing to the Major 3 Grand Finals. Braids, Aminish, and Visuals. Zeke, what do you think about that action?
Bro, there's nothing like the chaotic nature of like a final zone, and it comes down to like, you know, that final like 1v1, 1v2, 2v2, and it's just everyone's just desperately like, I have to change tarps, where's the heals, please? Like, oh my gosh. Of course, Visuals, Braids, and Aminish, we know already, we kind of talked about it at the start of the show, they already have a spot to global, so to see them go ahead and secure another grand final spot, this is big, right? We're fighting for prize money, and the fact that they're already going through, that means if they were to end up in that like top, you know, one of those top spots, we're gonna be bumping down another spot to try and pull players into the global championship. So this is really exciting. In some ways, Kelly, like the part I'm not like the biggest fan of is like, this means now we don't get to see them until next weekend. I want to see more of Visuals, Braids, and Aminish.
It is a bittersweet moment that they get to go through into the global championships, but we don't get to watch them anymore. But that does mean it bodes well for Skittles' trio, who were contesting them over at Foxy Floodgate. Now they're potentially going to be uncontested. Obviously, some eyes are going to be looking towards the winning trio to see maybe they could drop over in their POI, but I don't know if anyone's going to try and contest Skittles over there. But for me, Vivid, when it comes down to these final moments, especially when it's literally down to the biggest trios in this group, I love these photo finish moments.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I asked. I was like, listen, EU is pretty good. NA, I'm looking at you. I want something better. And that pretty much instantly delivered, right? And I went ahead and said, you know, Visuals, Braves, and Diminish kind of breaking into the top 10 FNCS finals, let alone getting 4th last major. Okay, yeah, that's, you know, that's not usual for the trio, right? So that was kind of like a breakout placement for them. And I was like, well, you know, eyes towards globals. You got to go ahead and make a statement. Now, granted, this is not grand finals, right? You need to make a statement there. But man, if you want to start a sentence, start a paragraph with one of those exclamation points from this trio that they just put on in game number 1, I think that does it.
I love it, man. Oh man, congratulations to the trio. We'll be seeing them in the grand finals next week, but for now, a short break. When we return, we'll break down more of what we saw out of game number 1, so stay tuned.